Miss Haley Bowler-Cooke, how are you?
Hello, Miss Natasha Bell. I'm so good. How are you, beautiful?
Oh, I'm so good. I know we had hoped to actually record this in person, which we'll do one of those one of these days. But snowy Canadian temps were both like cozy at home in our cozy nooks.
It's so good to be cozy, and like I would love to be in person with you. I'm glad I got to see you in person on Friday, a couple days ago, as we're recording this. But I just got back from a hike, and like the snow is past my knees. And I'm like not a winter driver. So I'm just so happy that we're recording from home and so excited for everyone who's listening. We have a really incredible conversation coming at you today. So this is going to be on both platforms, my platform, Haley Uplift Lifestyle Podcast, and it's going to be on the Thrive With Me podcast with Natasha. So we have a vibe of like what we want to talk about today. And it's very much around thriving, optimizing, and uplifting your life. Like uplifting yourself, uplifting your life, really pouring into you as we move through 2025.
And it's such perfect timing. Like, I think at this time of the year, just within the calendar, everybody's thinking about this for those that are kind of catching it in real time. But you are such a dear friend of mine, and I'm so grateful you've come into my orbit and proximity. So much love to Natalie Gaunt for making the introduction.
As
Shout out to Natalie.
she's also a fellow like badass business owner and just incredible person, mutual friend. I know she introduced us. I was thinking about that on my hike. I'm like, how did we meet? Like, why are we like best friends? And we just like I'm like, how did like what happened? Like, how did this all happen?
I know it's wild. So I'm so excited. Okay, little backstory. I have done solo episodes on my podcast, so this is going to help me kick off season 3. So having more conversations and just real women, real stories, real experiences. I mean, that's what I love tuning into and listening and learning from. And I think the through line for you and I, why we connect so deeply, there's so many reasons, but thriving, our healthy lifestyles, our approach to business, our desire to feel our best and live a life, create our own success. Like I don't know, it meshes so well. So do you want to just introduce yourself a little bit for those on my podcast who may not know you as well?
Totally. I love it. Yeah. And I'm so happy we're in each other's lives. And yeah, there's just so many things that you and I really resonate and are congruent on in terms of our very high standards for wellness and for our own lifestyle and for the impact and service that we're here to share with the world. Like, I just think there's such a purity and like a real embodied truth there that I feel that in you, and I know that that's true for me, and I think that that just is like why we connected so well and continue to and grow and evolve. So a little bit about me to your listeners. Okay, so I'm Haley Bowler-Cooke. I am the best-selling author of Unfuckwithable. So if you haven't read my book, literally that is like the first stop to ever make. It's just go pick up a copy. It's at Indigo's, although it sells out really quick. So I always just tell people go to Amazon, then it'll be at your house in a couple days, and get your hands on it and get started because it's juicy. And yeah, there's lots of magic inside for the spiritual, self-developing, high-level individual who is here to live a life by design. So I'm an author. I'm also a speaker. I've really, since becoming an author, I've transitioned into doing a lot of public speaking for various different audiences. And the way that I speak is very unique, and I incorporate transmission. So transmission is, in my definition and the way that I do it, is you're getting a energetic and somatic experience while I'm speaking. So when I'm speaking, I'm also guiding you through breath work. I'm also guiding you through some somatic work. I'm also guiding you and leading you through some energy work so that it's this very like deep dive, integrated, encoded, felt experience versus just me being a talking head. I also do direct channeling. My entire book was channeled. My podcast is all channeled. Everything I do is coming through infinite source intelligence. And I combine that direct channel of universal consciousness and wisdom with me, the actor and the character in my story, which is this fun loving, uplifting, joyful, empowering young woman that I just I love to merge both of those. I love to be like this like fun, bubbly person and also like merge that with really powerful, deep universal consciousness and truths and wisdom. And I think that that I think that resonates for a lot of people. And I also think that it's very rare and unique for a lot of people. And that's why I've done so well in my career. So on top of, speaking and being an author and traveling around for that, I work with one-on-one clients. I work with in high proximity with high-level clients. I specialize in energetic, neural, and somatic optimization. So using my direct channel, using evidence-based and spiritually channeled practices, I bring people into their highest fucking timeline, their highest life, their most optimized self. And there's many different avenues. There's many different reasons someone would come and work with me. It's not always business. It's not always career related. Sometimes it's relationships. Sometimes it's health and wellness. Sometimes it's healing. Sometimes people are working through whether it's emotional healing or physical healing that they haven't been able to get help with. They're like, I'm ready to try this high level energy work. Let's go. And I work in those ways. So that's probably like my professional side. Personally, I love nature. I'm recently engaged. I have my soulmate and I have a little Dalmatian puppy and she is my world. I just turned 30 in 2024. So I'm kind of in this era of like, yeah, just fun. Fun is really it. And fun is everything that I'm here for. I love to travel. I love horses. I just started hip hop. So I've been like going to hip hop classes. Yeah, just here to have fun, here to live life, and here to bring everyone up with me. That's why my company's called Uplift Lifestyle Incorporated. It's as simple as
Which
that.
I am representing today for anyone who can see the the sweater I've got on. I was like, well, this is appropriate to wear
I
Haley's
love it.
sweater
Uplift
that I love.
Lifestyle merch. Yes, I also sell merch. There's lots of things. So check out my website.
Yes, I'll link everybody in obviously through my show notes as well too. And I love how you describe yourself. It's like you speak another language. Because when I meet people or any of the events we've done at our community with you there,
Yeah.
people are like, so what does she do? And I'm like, you just have to experience it for yourself. I can't tell you.
That's the answer. That's the answer I give. That's like the clearest way that I could ever like describe my
Yeah.
work is like just come experience it. Come to a ceremony, come to a retreat, book a session, come high level proximity one on one if you're ready to completely transform your life, but just experience it. Um, okay, Natasha, why don't you tell us, my listeners at Uplift Lifestyle, about who you are and your beautiful life?
Amazing. Okay, so I live in a small village just outside of where Haley lives, just outside of Stratford. And I was born and raised here. Somehow my husband and I both landed back here to raise our own family, which still kind of cracks me up when I sit and I'm asked a question like this, like, who are you? And you sit and you think like, how did I get to this moment in time? So I am a mom. I have three kids, Sloan, Roman, and Scarlett, and they are my world. They are the reason that I choose to show up in the world in the way that I do. You talked about high standards. Um, my husband is my soulmate. Like, I love him so dearly. I actually do have a couple episodes on our podcast. He's the only person I've sat down and talked with, which I feel like we've lived a million lives probably in between that interview, but we are both born and raised in this very small village, and we're very passionate about how we do life. We are doing our best to raise our kids. We definitely live life a little outside of the edges of normal, I think, in some ways. Like our kids are doing alternative schooling. I mean, I started a business when I was pregnant with my first child. My husband played professional hockey for 17 years, and having him be this just high achiever, high performer, high standards within his own life. I'm just so grateful that we found our way beautifully back to be together in this space to raise our family and to create this vision and mission for our life. So from a business standpoint, we live in the country. We love just slow living. Haley's had our eggs. We've got some chickens. We've got a dog. It's like a modern homesteading thing, but our passion and priority is our kids, but we're trying to design a life that feels just really good and impactful and creates service within the people and realms that we are a part of. My husband is now retired from playing, but still works within hockey. He sits on municipal council. And I don't know, we're like living life in the fast lane. Our kiddos are always so busy too with all of their sports. So we're just active. But my work life is also so important to me. I went to school originally for broadcast journalism, which is hysterical now that I think about it, but also so ironic, like coming back to the podcasting thing, because this was my initial, kind of chosen field. But when I met my husband, he had asked me, like, if you could do anything, what would you do? You know, if you could do anything and we're going to live in this small town one day together. And I went back to school for holistic nutrition. I just knew I loved food. We were very active. Healthy lifestyle was very important with his profession. And that's initially where I started my business. I just started a blog. We actually lived all over the place, like US, Canada, Europe. So I was like, I started with a blog and doing health coaching one-on-one with other women that were wanting to get pregnant and have a healthy fertility journey. And then, you know, as my kids were getting older, it was like, how do you thrive as a young mom? And so I've had this, like, thrive has been a word that's been woven into my business and my life and my passion and how I hope other women will choose to show up for themselves. Um, Health coaching has always been such a passion thing for me, of just seeing women gain confidence in who they are, see the truth and light in who they are, and know that their health is the foundation to their experience as a wife, as a mom, within their home and within their career. So that's kind of where I started. In there, I kind of sprinkled in a clothing company, a hockey-inspired Canadian clothing company that I founded with one of my best friends, and then we sold that 7 years later. That was a journey, and amazing. And then my passion for health, but also business in all of this has kind of, if I'm saying now, I just turned 40, so you turned 30. I just turned 40 last year. I feel like being 13 years into entrepreneurship and all the things I've tried to run a number of events. I do group coaching, one-on-one speaking. I'm it's an evolution of bringing it all together, which I'm still figuring out. So I sometimes feel like I need to sit here and also say, I don't have it all figured out, but I'm following what feels really good. And having a love for business, loving events, loving gathering people. I actually founded a company almost exactly 3 years ago now called Her Collab Co. It's a brick and mortar um, innovative hub where women can come and gather. We operate as a co-working space, so you get to get out of your home office and hang out. We curate events almost weekly. We have an online membership hub. Like, there's so many things happening within there. It's also an event rental, so other people can come in and have their own events, and whether it's personal, professional. So in the last 3 years, that's been a lot of my journey of what I'm doing, is just creating something new in our kind of rural setting. It's not common. It didn't really exist. And we are for women specifically. So that's, I'm saying a lot, but like my passions, my passions are holistic health, holistic home, holistic business, like helping women to see their true gifts and just elevate them, to give them that high standard and to keep moving forward on their journey, personally, professionally. And I think just the ripple it creates in the world and our communities, it's just such a beautiful thing. So,
Mm.
and somehow that's how we were kind of connected through all of these things.
I love it. Thank you, Natasha, for sharing all of who you are, or at least some of it, because I know
Some
we're
of it. Yeah, some of
so
it.
multidimensional. We're so multidimensional. It's not easy to describe yourself. It's not easy to write a bio. It's not easy to just, pop on here and say, this is who I am. But I think you just did a beautiful job explaining the holistic side of you. And as someone who knows you and gets to be your friend and also gets to be like a colleague, we collaborate often. I've been to Her Collab Co many times and I absolutely love it there. I've run events there with Natasha, and we also ran the Rising Women Collective large event in Stratford, I guess a year ago now.
Mm-hmm.
2 years? No, it was 1 year.
A year.
1 year.
Yep.
Okay. I was like,
Yeah.
where
I
are we?
know time. What is
What
time?
time? Yeah, it's beautiful. It's so beautiful. So let's dive in, because I think the audience is probably ready to get some nuggets from us.
Mm-hmm.
Because we really are merging business and lifestyle in a very aligned way that has wellness at the foundation. I think that that can summarize both of us, and we do that in different ways. But I think that the audience is ready to hear a little bit about how we're thriving and how we would maybe, in our own version of thrival, how we would maybe suggest or advise or just offer invitations to everyone listening. So I love if we kind of riffed on like what we're doing in 2025 that's different maybe than what we've done, and how that supports us in uplifting, optimizing, and thriving ourselves.
I love that. So I feel like wellness can mean a lot of different things to different people. And when I'm coaching women on really identifying what it is that they need to move on, I think one of my first statements, it's not rocket science, but we all have an inner knowing of what it is that we need to move on and what's not working. And I think the biggest thing, what's lacking is life force. Like I think so many of us are so burnt out. You know, whether you have children or you don't have children, like there's this constant pressure and distraction and hamster wheel of life that we all inevitably can get on. And I know you and I have had many conversations about that. Like it's hard sometimes. We just naturally lean into that because it's kind of the way the world is constructed right now. So one of the biggest things for myself that I'm doing, but also I'm coaching others on, is I just want, I'm kind of done. I'm just so done with the shoulds, like how I should be showing up or the things I should be doing. And I think this relates to health as well, too. Like, what do you want to do? How do you want to feel in your day? If you know you're lacking energy and life force, like, let's be honest with ourselves. It comes down to self-awareness. And often we're complicating things. Like most 98% of the people I work with are dehydrated, you know, like just little things like that. It just comes down to awareness and honesty and a desire to shift and evolve and become better. And not doing everything all at once. You know, we have so many different health tools in our home. I call them healthy hubs, like different products and devices and all these different things that I've layered into what we do within our home and for our kids. But it just comes down to getting kind of really crystal clear. So if you're looking at 2025, I would just ask you, like, how do you want to feel in your day? Where are you lacking that life force? Are you feeling that burnt out? Is it regulation that you need? Is it more sleep that you need? Start with one area of your life. Nourishment is so important, the food we put into our body. And I think most of you will realize if you have that self-awareness and you give yourself the time and space to pause and really think about what it is that you want and you desire, not everyone else's ideas of it, you will get off this hamster wheel of distraction and be able to have the time and energy to focus on one area of your life and then just start building up trust within yourself. It's so activating to choose some of those things. So for me, fitness has been a thing that I've really been focusing on the last year. I hired a coach finally because I was telling, even being in this world of health and coaching other people, strength and sticking with, you know, lifting was really hard for me since I had kids. It was the one thing that kept going. So for me, fitness and strength and consistency in that, no matter what my days feel like, no matter what life is throwing at me, is a really high priority. You know, sticking to just nourishing in a way that's going to help me build muscle and kind of continue to age as gracefully as possible. Turning 40, it's like you hit this like new level of I don't care, but I care and I just want to do it my way. So yeah, so I want people to just get honest with themselves. Like there's so much marketing that's constantly coming at us saying that it needs to be hard, but it really doesn't. It's self-awareness and just taking action one brick at a time. What would you say?
I love you. Gives like all this gold. What would you say?
Yeah, I'm like, Haley, tell me about you.
That was
What
so
are you
beautiful.
doing?
That was so good. And I think everyone is just going, yes, yes, yes. Thank you for that permission slip. I also think, and like speaking to thriving, and you and I speak to this a lot, but it doesn't have to be hard, and it also doesn't have to be perfect, and
Mm,
it also doesn't have to be consistent and look the same. So I think there's like huge lies out there that like, you get a ritual, you set that intention, and then you maintain that ritual forever. That's not how I've ever done it. I mean, I know that that works for some people, but I'm a vibe girl, and I'm like, this is my vibe right now. This is my vibe right now. This is my vibe right now. The underlying of every vibe is I'm getting hotter, I'm getting healthier, I'm more successful, I'm getting happier, I'm having more fun, I'm way more clear. Clarity is really big for me because I do so much with neural optimization for my clients and myself. Like clarity is important. But so it's like there's this foundation of here is the vibe, here is the intention, here's who I am, and here's what I deserve. How I achieve that, or how I receive that, or how I embody and like naturalize that, manifest that, that's always changing, at least
mhm,
for me. Like you said, there's foundations like hydration, nutrition, and fitness that are absolutely at a core. And for anyone who doesn't know, my background is in clinical kinesiology and fitness and health. So I've studied it. in traditional ways for 6+ years, and then I've studied it non-traditionally for 10+ years. So those foundations need to be there. And I love that you mentioned that, because I think there's people listening, and we can speak to the devices and we can speak to the products and we can speak to, all the supplements that we take and do. But at the foundation, forget all that. Are you hydrating? Are you sleeping? Are you giving yourself rest? And when I say rest, are you giving yourself clean rest? Not
Mm,
like half-ass resting, scrolling on your phone, or like, I'm resting, but I'm listening to a podcast. No, like rest, like actually do nothing. The art of doing nothing, like do nothing and see how quick you move. Cause I know that you and I speak to a similar audience. Like if you're listening, you're a high achiever, you're high level. You're not listening to Uplift Lifestyle podcast or the Thrive With Me podcast because you're fucking lazy. You're a badass high achiever. You're probably doing too much. You're probably doing
mm,
more than you need to. So take off the pressure and go to the basics and to the foundation. And once those are in place, then you can add in, the supplement. Then you can add in the device. Then you can add in the coaching. Then you can add in the mentorship, the energy work, whatever it is. So for me, like, because my vibe's always changing, what's my current vibe? And I mean, my vibe's always nature, but I feel like I'm immersing myself in nature, like, and I mean the outdoors. That's what I mean by nature, in new ways than I used to. So I'm doing more work with horses right now, which I'm really loving, like being with the horses, riding, being in their energy, grooming, like being outside, but being connected to animals, which is like such pure nature. I also like, it's so fucking cold. Natasha knows it's like -20 here. And I'm just like not being the person, and I never have been this person, but I'm just certainly not being the person that's not going outside. I'm maybe not going to drive outside because I value my life, but like I'm getting outside and hiking every day. I'm bundling up, I'm going for it. And I'm looking at the sunshine. I always let the sun penetrate my eyes. I'm doing that even in the -20 weather. In terms of fitness, I was like a big yoga. So I was a big fitness girl. So when I went to school for clinical kinesiology, I was also a personal trainer and fitness instructor, and I had a whole business and a very successful client list of personal training clients. That's really how I got started and how Uplift Lifestyle started. But I was big into weights. I was big into high intensity interval training, and that was awesome until it wasn't. And then I shifted gears into Pilates and yoga, and then for a season, I had a near death experience. Natasha knows all about it. And I'm not going to go into it too much, other than it did change my life completely. And I have a whole podcast episode on that, recorded back in April of 2024. But after that, I stopped yoga. I stopped like anything that was regimented. And I just turned completely toward, what is my body craving right now? What is my body craving? And if we can deprogram and decondition and get ourselves to a place where we can actually listen to ourselves and listen to our intuition and listen to our bodies and our energy and our own thoughts, and get really quiet, we will have the answer, and we will have the perfect routine, and we will have the perfect ritual. And guess what? It's going to look different every single day because we're women. I'm big into cycle tracking as well right now. A good friend of mine, we were just talking about her, my friend Jen, the intuitive nutritionist. Her and I are always going back and forth on like our cycle and like what actions we're taking in our career based on the point in our cycle, or what foods we're eating. And Natasha's huge on this too. And there's so many incredible people who are doing incredible work on this. But cycle tracking has been big. But in terms of fitness, with all of that in mind, it's like 2025 in terms of exercise. First off, I feel amazing. I look amazing. My body's feeling toned. It's also fluctuating a lot because I'm someone who, like, when I'm on my period, my boobs grow like 5 fucking sizes, and like it's so fun, and like Mitch loves it and I love it. And also like I retain water and I like bloat a little bit. And then when I'm ovulating, it's like a snatch, like my abs are there, like I'm feeling lean, I'm feeling strong. So it's like, look, I've really learned to love myself through all of those seasons. Like when I'm a little more squishy, when I'm a little more toned, it's like I fucking love myself and I don't care. And that wasn't always true for me. I was someone who I battled with, I don't know if body dysmorphia is correct, but I certainly overexercised and underate a lot. And that
mm,
was like normal for me even when I was studying clinical kinesiology, fitness and health. I was like very aware, and yet I was always trying to force my body into a certain perfect way. Where now it's like I couldn't love my body more. I feel like I couldn't look better. And yet I do the least. I literally do the least. Like I'll wake up and I'll be like, oh, I'm gonna like put on music and like massage myself and dance, and like that's great. I'm going to hip hop now. So like once a week I go to a hip hop class and I'm like, oh, what a great workout. Like I'm good for a few days now. Like I'm just so like, I'll go to yoga once a week. I hike. Like there's just no strict regime right now. And yet I feel so good because the standard is always the standard is set. The intentions are set. The vibe is set of like, I'm healthy. I'm happy. I'm hot. Let's go. So it's like, I don't care what I do, that's who I am. So those are some sort of like, I guess the vibes. I've been into red light therapy a lot lately. Cold plunge sauna, like I think that that's like a fine wine or dessert. Like it's not for every day. It's not for everyone. It's not for all the time. But like from time to time, I love that. Yeah, I mean, those are my main vibes. I'm always taking supplements, but again, you don't need them, but I'm always taking supplements and trying to chill the fuck out and like watch shows and relax and like watch TV because I'm very high level and I make big bold moves like every single day and I'm constantly expanding and quantum leaping. I have to rest. I have to chill out so that my body's like, ooh, okay, we got this. We can do this. Like we have the life force for what's next. So those are my little tippy.
There's so many nuggets in there. Okay, I think one that will resonate with a lot of people is the doing less, which you've been such a beautiful like guide for me on this as well too. And I think so many, it's not always about doing more as it relates to health, as it relates to business, you know, moving on your goals and like the things that I just really do believe were planted on our hearts for by design. Like there's a reason why we have those. And so like you said, like deconstructing the way that we've been programmed and not being so rigid in routine and rhythm. Let's unpack that a little bit because I think especially as women, especially when you have children, it's like you have to be so committed to what it is that you're doing and remain flexible.
Yeah.
And because it's like, I mean, that was my story for so many years about not being in my physical, you know, as strong as I wanted to feel because, you know, a kid got sick or we were traveling or, you know, and like whatever. Whereas if I really could have just anchored into the truth of just movement for strength and resilience and feeling strong like I think it can be a little toxic within health and wellness of like you're all in or you're all off but doing less pulling like not feeling like we need to do everything. I think that is a big thing that my clients struggle with. I mean we do as women as well too. So um the regulation of doing less.
Yeah. And the way that if we speak to like the feminine body as well, and I know that there are a few men that listen to my podcast, and maybe you've got a few as well, but for the most part, speaking to women here for a moment, when the feminine body needs to feel safe, and the feminine body has its own ecosystem and its own little universe going on within, and the body is a hologram in itself. So every single intention, thought, belief, every action, every choice, there is a ripple effect happening within the body. But what I've come to discover after years of working with hundreds of clients, mostly women, thousands if we're talking about events, and having many women in a container at one time, safety and allowing your body to regulate itself and feel like, oh, I can breathe. I can take a full inhale and I can take a full exhale unrushed. Oh, I can stretch through my neck. I can roll my shoulders and actually feel like I can luxuriate in that. I can feel pleasure in that. I can actually for a minute be like, what would feel good in my body versus contorting myself to support everyone else?
Mm-hmm.
What would feel really good in my body? When you can access pleasure, it's like what came first, the chicken or the egg? If you can access pleasure, you're accessing safety. And if you can access safety, then you're better equipped to access pleasure. So I work a lot on the art of receiving and codings with clients, and helping the feminine body feel safe, feel open, feel receptive. And from that place, what you'll find is your hormones regulate, your nervous system regulates, your digestion is optimized, your ability to actually be healthy and not just look healthy, but actually be healthy. There was a large portion of my life where I looked healthy, but I wasn't actually healthy. Um, yeah, I just think that that's really the foundation of it, is like doing less. For me, it took years to feel safe doing less, but eventually you get to a place where I'm at now, where I'm like out here, I'm entering my luteal phase right now. So I do have low energy right now compared to my usual state, which is like, for anyone who knows, like it's pretty fucking high vibe, high energy. But like letting it be okay that like I'm on the couch, I've got blankets, I'm after this, I'm going to chill out before I have a client this evening. And I'm going to just probably watch the OC. I'm rewatching the OC on Crave and I'm loving it. Like just giving myself permission to do less. I'm amazed at how I get way more done. My body, instead of the old version of like forcing and contorting my body by eating a certain way and exercising a certain way and like really being rigid about it, I noticed my body, it actually adapts so much better. So when I do weight train, it's like those muscles are so much better. They're way better optimized and they look better. They feel better. When I go into something like yoga and I do it, instead of doing it 5 days a week like I used to, and I do it maybe once a week, it's like the experience is so much more spiritual. The experience is so much more life-giving. And just removing any rules. I'm a big rule remover, and so is Natasha. And I think that's why we get along really well. Like, we don't like being told what to do. We don't like rules. My rule book is like, what does my body want and need? And I think that we can get into slippery slopes with business and also with money and with fitness and wellness. And we can get into a slippery slope by thinking that we need to follow someone's rule book all of a sudden. And it's like, no, no, no. We have the codes, we have the information. And my client work is only ever about getting into the codes of my client, everyone's unique codes. And more, I've just been committed to doing that for myself and noticing the great success that comes from that, the quantum leaping. Like, to give a few examples, in the last like 4 months, I've had things happen in my career. I've had things happen financially. I've had things happen in my relationship that were dreams come true. And they didn't come from a strategy or a formula that anyone else could follow. It came from my unique strategy, my unique formula. It came from a lot of doing less, a lot of receiving, a lot of opening up to magic and miracles, and all from the foundation of the standard that came from love, not from fear, the standard that came from I deserve this, not from I'm a failure if I don't get this, you know? So the standards have been high, and these high standards have allowed also so much room for vulnerability and safety and doing less and rest. And yeah, just 2025, it's January 28th, 2025 as we're recording this, and I've lived lifetimes since 2025. Like, I've lived years.
Like, and I believe it. And you and I we talked about this. It's like this desire to just simplify things, have more fun, stop taking things too seriously. And I think I talk to a lot of moms. I'm in community, like even the conversations that we have at Her Collab Co within our masterminds and mentorship and workshops and all the things we do there, or just when women are sitting and talking, it's like there's a lot to hold as a woman.
Yeah.
And so many of us have our worth so deeply tied to the value and how hard we're working. And again, there's so many reasons for that, maybe how we were raised, different things that we're holding on to. And so without the white knuckle like gripping onto the wheel, trying to control every part of this, we've been talking about this. It is so freeing to actually truly surrender that. And so how would you explain, how do you have that inner trust in knowing? Because I agree. I feel like there's so many people, even within the business world or coaching, where it can be hard sometimes because people are looking for a blueprint. They're like, Tell me, and it's like you can only lead people so far. So self-mastery is a thing that you need to innately understand and trust yourself enough to know you have the perseverance, the grit, the grace, the intelligence, the knowing within yourself of what it is. Yes, there's ways to get, wisdom and invest in things like that. But how do you trust? Because it is hard to surrender and not control and have our worth tied into how productive we're being and what we're doing. And I think that's how we get on this hamster wheel. So
Mhm.
how do you do that?
So the I just want to speak to the formulas and the blueprints real quick because I have formulas, blueprints, and strategies that I coach on that are written in my book. But I think what's really important for everyone to hear is those formulas, strategies, and blueprints all have one thing in common. They allow the person who's receiving the formula, strategy, and blueprint to go inward. So it's like, here's a formula to understand yourself. Here's a formula to access your own intuition. Here's a formula to access your own internal knowing. It's not me telling you this is what your knowing is. It's me guiding you to knowing what your own knowing is and then making the moves from there. So there are strategies and formulas and blueprints. I have a momentum formula. I have lots of high level energetic formulas, art of receiving codes and formulas. I have all these formulas, but the formula is going to meet someone completely like it's going to meet you different than it meets me. So we can be reading the same formula. I can be programming a formula, but the individual is going to have their own completely unique response and experience to that, which I do want to make clear because I'm very aware that I use those words a lot, but I think people need to know like the formula is
Well,
very unique.
yes. And I mean, I do too within the coaching and
Of
mentorship that
course.
I do. Of course, there's a certain level of that, but I think it's this constant outsourcing that we're thinking someone else is going to fix us. Somebody's coming to save us. Somebody must know better than I know.
Yeah, I think the
Especially if you're not where you think you should be, because that's a conversation that comes up a lot. Like people want to be further ahead in their health journey. They want to be further ahead in their business or however you define success. So like that surrender trust factor.
so in my book, Unfuckwithable, being unfuckwithable is all about insourcing your power. Insourcing your power, being the source. You are the source. Like if we want to get quantum, which I love to get quantum, you created me speaking right now to you in your ears on the podcast. Like you created me. You're your own main character. I'm my own main character. But right now, you listening, you created me to speak what I'm speaking. You created Natasha to say what she's saying. Like, if we want to get quantum, it's all a projection, holographic experience. And we've created everything that's in it. So that's kind of a quantum bit of it. But in terms of the surrender and the trust thing, I have two chapters in my book, The Edge of Evolution and Devotion, which are all about this. So again, I encourage you to dive deep into that. But what I can quickly say on this is because you created us, right? Like you created this, you took the self-leadership to listen to this podcast. You made that move. If you do invest in a coach, a mentor, whoever, you're making that move. So you have the power. You are the source. However, there are people that make moves from fear, and then there are people that make moves from love and expansion. And I have a very high standard of anyone that works with me that if you're coming to work with me, I'm not your savior. I'm like, you led yourself here, and I'm going to now support you. And I'm also going to change your life in the ways that I do it. But you led yourself here, and you're going to continue to lead yourself after. So there's a level of self trust and self leadership and confidence that comes from taking the action, holding the vibe, holding the energy every single day, the thoughts you think, the words you say to yourself, the actions you take. A lot of people, I think, will like, they're going to lead, they're going to take them. They're in this, if you're watching on YouTube or if you're listening, like my hands are like in this little box. It's like a lot of people stay in this little box. They don't actually bust through to the next level because they stay in like a comfort zone, for lack of a better term. A lot of people who are here, they get the same results, they get the same experience, tangible and intangible results over and over again, unfulfilled, not fully happy, not fully alive, not getting the tangible material results they want, whatever it is, because they're just in this in between realm, because they trust themselves to an extent, and they're not willing to push through or bust through or lean in or surrender more into a level that they haven't yet been. And I was saying to you right before we started recording, Natasha, just this morning, I expanded in a really big way. And over the last 24 hours, there's been a lot of expansion in my world happening behind the scenes. And I'm regulating like that. It's okay that it's not perfect. It's okay that I don't have it all figured out right now. It's okay that I only know my next step. And maybe that next step is literally just doing nothing and relaxing and letting it all unfold for me. So being okay with like having the self leadership that I can trust my action and I can trust my non action is really key. This comes with time, this comes with devotion. There are also ways that you can instantly upgrade it. And that's what I like to do in my events and ceremonies and in session to get someone where they're accessing their internal power. They know that they are that source. And then it's like, it's encoded, it's remembered. And then you can just be like, oh yeah, that's who I fucking am. I remember who the fuck I am. So
Mm.
yeah, it's a practice, it's a journey. And what self-trust and self-leadership is going to look like is going to look different. For me, self-trust and leadership before my near-death experience was very much like, I'm going to do the thing and I'm going to catch myself always. I really trusted myself. My self-leadership was really strong. What wasn't as strong was that I trusted God, that I trusted the universe, that I trusted that I didn't have to do it all alone. That wasn't as strong. So I was given an opportunity through my near death experience to be caught and held by the grace of God, by the universe, by my expanded infinite self, whoever, whatever you'd want to call it. I was caught, I was held, I was, yeah, it was like a by the grace of God experience that I would have never had if I just kept leading myself and catching myself. There are times when we have to have self trust in the self that is bigger than the self. And then there's times that we have to have self trust in the self that is the human self. And I think both are needed.
Yeah, I agree. And one of the things I really wanted to also talk about that I think is so important, no matter what your goals are, as you're looking at what thriving, what optimizing your own life looks like moving into this next version of you. And I know again from the conversations we're having every week within our own community, it's like there's a lot of like in between right now. There's a bit of this gap that a lot of people are holding. I think collectively we're all working through a lot. It's been a very interesting few years. People are they're real, I don't know, they're really like on the verge. I don't know if you're seeing that as well
Oh
too.
yeah,
And
100%.
it's so beautiful and powerful. But the one thing, if I could go back and tell my younger self who really was like forcing and, like a bull in a china shop, to be honest, nobody could stop me. Like that was my energy, raising babies on, wearing my baby to
Fucking
like
awesome until it
maybe
wasn't. It was awesome until it wasn't, you
till
know?
it was awesome till it wasn't.
That's it.
100%. If I could go back and tell my younger, being a young mom and having big goals and visions within business and what success looks like and defining who I am and figuring it out, there's community is huge. So that's why Her Collab Co is here. So surrounding yourself, like I surround and insulate. Proximity is really important to me in how I move through, whether it's health, business, happiness, like all the things, joy, finding those people. So if you are siloing yourself, if you're feeling alone, if you're afraid to step out and be honest, like please find some people. It doesn't need to be 50 people. It can be two good people that you really trust as you set a new standard for yourself and you receive everything we're talking about in this conversation. I wish I would have known sooner how valuable that was to not always keep my fears and the things that I was feeling to myself thinking something was wrong, because that's so normal. Like I think normalizing the journey of, entrepreneurship or motherhood or whatever it is, like it's so important to live in community. And then also just honoring the season. Like you've talked a lot about different seasons of you and it's okay until it's not. Like we're constantly evolving and shifting. So just continue to give yourself permission to do so. And it's okay to make quick decisions. For years, I think I just held on because I thought I should still be doing something a certain way. And now, as you continue to build that trust and that devotion you've talked about, and trusting yourself enough to know when you have that nudge or that download or that spark to really know like what to move on, just move. Don't try to justify it. You don't see the full picture. I wish somebody would have told me that. Like you're not always going to see the whole thing. Take the next right step. Take the next right step. And if you trust yourself enough, it will always work out. Like you will always find a way to make it work.
It's oh yeah, 100%. Like let life unfold for you and also know that you're co-creating as well. Make that move. Like that balance is so important. Yin yang, feminine, masculine, whatever you'd want to call it. It's like being able to make a bold move and know that you're going to be caught or know that you're going to catch yourself. Your community is going to catch you, source is going to catch you, whoever, whatever, you're going to be caught, you're going to be held. And also knowing like you can do it. You don't have, it doesn't have to be perfect. And that's exactly what we were talking about this morning is like, it's okay that it's new. It's okay that it's different. It's okay that it's scary. It's okay that it's unknown. You
Mm.
don't need to know, like you said, the whole picture. You just need to dial in to your own knowing to make that next move. And you can catch yourself, you can be caught, you can hold yourself there, you can regulate. Time and space is an illusion, anyways. You can regulate after the fact, you can regulate during, you can regulate before, it doesn't fucking matter. But I often will like leap and then regulate. I find that works in many ways. And then in some ways too, I'm like regulating before or I'm regulating during. It's like make the move, don't stay in something. The whole lie of consistency is like, well, let's do this for 10 years. That is all such a masculine and like toxic masculine and old paradigm way of thinking. Like you're going to get quantum results. You're going to quantum leap when you shift into doing something new and different. And then if you feel, if your intuition's like, yeah, let's stay with it. This is so enriching and nourishing to stay with this, stay with it. But if it's like, I don't feel like I know I should stay with it, but I don't feel like it, don't fucking stay with it. Mix it up, change it up. Like, what's the worst that's going to happen? You're fucking alive. You're living life. Like, don't be afraid to make a mistake. Don't be afraid to fail. Don't be afraid to pick yourself up and go again. Like, and just so you know, people on really big levels, like me and Natasha have built very successful businesses. We're doing this at a high level. People who are on way bigger levels running billion-dollar companies are doing this. They're mixing it up and trying something new. And they're not afraid. They're choosing to have fun with it. So whether it's fitness, health, relationships, business, career, money, whatever, why are you not mixing it up yet? Like, why are you not shaking it up? Mix it up. Let's
I
go.
love that. I love that. Okay, I want to like let's put a little bow on
Let's
this because I
let's
feel like
let's
there could be
go.
like part two, part three.
I love
I love this conversation so much. So first of all, your book, I had sent you, I tagged you on a photo the other day. I'm like, I rarely leave. I take your book to the sauna with me. It comes to the hockey arena. It comes to all the places. I am just so dang proud of you. Every time I read a page or I turn it down, I'm like, she wrote this. Like, it's amazing. There's so many nuggets in there. So I would highly encourage you to go and get your book. Like, it's no doubt Gwyneth Paltrow is shouting you out, like, hey, ho, like, what a cool
yeah,
thing.
I know.
I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you. So go get the book. I'm going to link it in here for all of the people on our podcast to be able to grab. But if you wanted to just put a little bow on this, like, speaking life over the people that are listening, and what they kind of might need right now, how they can connect with you, what you're excited about.
Let's do it. If you're not driving, close your eyes. If you're driving, keep your eyes open, please, but just get 1% more connected to yourself. Take a big inhale, bring all that energy in, bring all the air in, pull it in, and hold it at the top. Stretch and expand yourself by holding it in for 1% or 1 second longer than you want to. Let it go. Repeat as needed. Breathe. I often will just check in with my clients throughout the day of like, hey, how are you breathing? How are you breathing? And I find that that gives them enough of like a nudge to turn toward themselves. So yeah, turn towards yourself. That's how I like to close out a lot of conversations that I have. Turn inward, breathe, massage yourself, be with yourself, and then make a choice from that place. And catch yourself and regulate yourself from that choice. So ways to find me, definitely my book, Unfuckwithable. My company is Uplift Lifestyle Podcast, or sorry, Uplift Lifestyle Incorporated. My podcast is Uplift Lifestyle Podcast. And my Instagram is at uplift_lifestyle. So I've got lots of facilitators working for me as well. You can book astrology, human design, hypnotherapy, nervous system regulation through our brilliant facilitators who work for the company. If you want to work with me in a very high level, high proximity way, I have the Power Proximity Portal Tier 1 and Tier 2. They're month-long containers, and we really go very deep in terms of direct channeling, energetic, and physical work. We also are in a combination of sessions that are happening over Zoom, as well as Telegram, where I'm really just in your back pocket. I'm holding you, I'm supporting you, I'm guiding you, I'm checking in with you, I'm prompting you, you're asking questions. It's very, very high touch, very high level. And I have clients of all different types of backgrounds, very, very much business owners for the most part, or high level corporate, but they're high level, they're here for big lives, but they want to do it in alignment. They want to be insanely successful, but they want it to feel good. They want their body to feel good. They want their systems to feel good. They want to look good, feel good, and have insane results. So those are the people that work one-on-one with me. So you can connect with me directly, whether it's Instagram, or you could email me, work with me at upliftlifestyle.ca. Let's connect. Those are the main ways. Turn toward yourself, trust yourself. We're not your saviors. You led yourself here. If you know your next big move is to access support, trust that. I think that's a big thing too, is like, you are the creator, you have everything within you. And you also have the knowing of like, you know what? Yeah, I'm ready for this next level to be led. Or you know what? I'm gonna take a beat. Like, trust yourself and make the move. If you're ready for that next level and you're ready for me, come into my world. I'd love to meet you. I'm sure you're probably already in my world, but if you're new, which I hope you are, come say hi. And I love you and you deserve it all. You deserve it all. What about you, Natasha? How can we connect with you? How can my listeners find you and work with you? Because you are an embodied woman. You are embodied in holistic health and wellness. You've done so many things in business, from online, virtual, to the MLM marketing, to brick and mortar, to clothing company, podcast. Like, there's nothing you can't support them with. So how can they be supported by you?
Well, thank you. I should get you to write my elevator pitch. I think what I hope, well, first of all, what I hope everybody will just take from this conversation is just that there's so many ways to get to where you want to go. And if I could, collapse timelines and learning for you, don't be so hard on yourself. Like, just continue to trust yourself no matter what season that you're in life, relationship, business. Like, you're this whole being, like choosing a holistic lifestyle is the best way to do it, and trusting yourself enough. I hope you'll maybe spend some time resting, stopping the gripping and just sitting, and really maybe sitting with yourself to really think about what is it that you want right now. If you haven't given yourself permission to do that, if you're noticing even from the conversation you're feeling activated to define or create a new vision, that's fair. One of the best ways I love to do it is obviously like writing words and things, but I'm a visual person. So I usually head to Pinterest and I love creating digital vision boards, and I have them on my phone so I can see them everywhere all the time. So I don't know, create that vision so you can feel your way in if you're in a bit of that gap of where you're going. And in terms of connecting, there's a couple of different ways. So I have my personal brand, natashabell.co on Instagram, or natashabell.com. This has been a beautiful evolution over the last 13 years. And something I'm really excited about creating right now is a very personalized one-on-one container, working with women who really, really desire to feel their best, to, the formulas and the strategies and the blueprints we talked about. But it's going to be an immersive, experiential day together where I will sit and we're going to do all the wellness rituals together. To be honest, I'd love to do, depending on where people are, I'm going to be doing it in my home with them, and we'll do the saunas and we'll do the, medical devices, the nourishment, the hydration, but also just refining and having that support, kind of a bird's eye view, third party of the life you're creating, business, health, routines, rhythms. Like, I love getting seeing what the daily, the weekly, the monthly rhythms are to get you to where you want to go. So that's going to be launching soon. So that's more of a one-on-one container. And
So
outside of that, Her Collab Co. It's this brilliant community. It's like the community I always wanted when I was an entrepreneur. And so we have a couple of different ways you can come in and hang out with us. If you can drive to St. Mary's, Ontario, come once a month, come every other week, come every week, like whatever it is. But it's a beautiful way to feel in community, to elevate yourself, your business, expand your network, to learn from others, to create beautiful relationships with other high performers. It's so beautiful. So there's lots of in-person experiences and opportunities there. We also, if you're not close, we do have an extension online. So it's like a virtual membership where we're taking all of the stuff we're doing in person, putting replays up there. There's resources. There's a business hub so you can really like connect with other entrepreneurs, chat groups, that sort of stuff. And so the whole purpose of that is to stay connected. When we can be in person, that's great. But outside of that, we're just like, it's in its own little app and you can always stay connected and inspired and taking action towards the things that you say are important to you as you define success kind of in your own way. So, and hopefully we'll be doing another collaboration in the space soon. I know we have some ideas of some things for
Okay.
2025. But Haley Bowler-Cooke, it was a pleasure today to sit with you. Thank you for just being you and sharing your light with everybody. And we'll just link in all the places that we can kind of connect with each other. And I would love to have you back again. That's for sure. Lots of other things to talk about.
So many things. Thank you, Natasha, for having this conversation with me and being the light that you are in the world, a pure, abundant, true, and real light that you are. So thank you. I love you. And we will definitely have a part 2 conversation.
Amazing. Bye, everyone.